gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
This is SBF, Styles Break Fights, with your hosts, Chinyere Okafor and Ray Williams, presented by the Nefarious Media Network.
Hi. It's your boy two-way Ray Williams, along with
riding shotgun with your boy Jerry Lacey. What's going on, Ray? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Just ready to go ahead and start another installment of the Spinning Styles Break Fights podcast. I was about to revert to the old title. I'm all good, brother. How you doing, brother James?
Man, the sun is out, so that means my mood is instantly 10 times better, bro. I am done with the cold weather. It's springtime, unofficially. Let's go. Indeed.
And yes. With as the old adage says, April showers, May flowers, but we're still in March, and we had the whole gambit of weather over the last week in my neck of the woods. So we had 80 degrees on Tuesday, snow on the Wednesday, rain and snow on the Wednesday. Then Thursday and Friday, it's been pretty mild to say the least. So,
you got that bipolar forecast, okay?
Yeah, pretty much. But the sun's peeking out on our end as well. But people don't want to hear us talk about the weather, Brother Jay. They want to hear us talk about some fights, brother. They want to hear us talk about some true grabs. So we're going to go ahead and get into all the news and notes happening over the past month within mixed martial arts, including UFC Freedom 250 finally being released as the fight card, with two stellar headlining fights and maybe some underwhelming stuff underneath. We'll get into that. We'll also get into Francis Ngannou, just off the heels of being released from the Professional Fighters League, now ending up with most valuable promotions and being on the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano card coming up in May. We'll talk more about that as well. And we'll also get into some breaking news over the week with Sean Strickland, Jay's favorite fighter, getting another title shot as he will face off against Khamzat Chimaev for the UFC Middleweight Championship in May as well, on UFC 328. But before we get into all of that, you guys already know the format around here. If you've been around here for a while, we get into the past so we can work our way into the future. So with that, let's go ahead and cover UFC 326, which happened this past Saturday, featuring the B.M.F championship being defended. I know, yeah. It hurts me to still say that, but yes, B.M.F championship being defended. Max Holloway taking on Charles Oliveira. I don't know why I had a little bit of a brain fart there, but I'm going to keep it going. Yes, Charles Oliveira, the Bronx, if you will, able to take down Max Holloway, both literally and figuratively, multiple times en route to a unanimous decision victory. And he is now the new B.M.F champion. So, Jay, I'll go ahead and swing it to you, brother. What did you think of the fight? Did you happen to believe or happen to be along the side of a lot of people that found this fight pretty one-handed, or I would say, yeah, pretty one-sided, but also not particularly entertaining?
If you like grappling, if you're into, jiu-jitsu, if you're into those kind of arts, this was your fight. This you love to see it. As far as it being for the B.M.F title, I have mixed emotions about that. I think like the B.M.F title should be for fights that are mostly going to be on the feet. If you're going to be throwing haymakers, widowmakers, if you will, That's what I think. It wasn't a fight, and I think Charles Oliveira, the Cowboy was one thing, but this Do Bronx dude, he's something different. I mean, he's a different beast. I mean, he gave Max Holloway all he can handle and some. And I enjoyed the fight. I thought it was great. I thought it was if it wasn't for the B.M.F title, and I think that to me that kind of taints it because for me, I'm used to seeing, or historically, that belt has been about having two stand-up dudes throw hands, and it's not going to go all 5 rounds. That's not what that title is for, at least in my mind. But it did. I mean, Do Bronx did his thing, and I enjoyed the fight. The rest of the card, I can't say I enjoyed it, but I mean, for those two, Charles Oliveira proved that he is still a top caliber athlete, and he is an apex predator in this division.
That is true. That is true. And I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but I saw a few people online were saying, wow, if this is what Charles Oliveira did to Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria got to be off the charts. And we kind of saw that with their fight where even when he was taken down, Topuria was able to, I think, even momentarily reverse it and then get back on the feet. And if you watch the fight, you know what happened next. And to the same token, Max Holloway suffered a similar fate to Ilia Topuria. So, and we'll get into what Ilia Topuria is getting into next in a little bit. So stay tuned. But yeah, I'm on the side with you. I'm a big fan of grappling, and I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. So I kind of enjoyed it, and I found it particularly not shocking, but I found it pretty surprising, a little surprising that Oliveira was able to take down Holloway so easily. And I know there's a weight disparity with Max Holloway usually being at 145. And he has dabbled with 155 from here and there. But a true 155er with Charles Oliveira, who just looked like he was a whole weight class bigger than Holloway, and it really showed just him being able to get into that clinch, even absorbing some shots, taking some shots from Holloway in order to get inside, to get into the clinch, and then just pretty much ragdoll him with that body lock, getting those double underhooks in, and able to just pick up Holloway with ease, and just drop him down. He was threatening the danger a lot within the first and second rounds as far as with the submissions. But I think once we got into the third round on, I think he just knew he can overpower him, and while still looking for submissions and staying close, he knew he could put himself in dominant situations without getting himself into much danger, and also kind of drain a bit of the energy and sap a bit of the energy from Max Holloway. It was domination. It was pure domination.
It was one-sided, and you're being nice. I think after the first round, when Max Holloway's knows the camera's on him and he's giving everybody the eyebrows and everything like that, I was like, okay, that was cute. And then the second round happened, and we saw rinse and repeat. And then the third round happened. It's like, okay, we know what the game plan is. And it's almost like you just saw the confidence just dwindle out of the Holloway camp, Oliveira did exactly what he needed to do to get that title, and hats off to him, and hats off to Holloway too for taking the fight.
Yeah, hats off to both of them. That and you're reading my mind, Brother Jay, because when I saw that in the first round, I'm like, oh, you go ahead and be cute all you want to, and making all the different faces, but like you said, once it got into the third round, he was not making any faces anymore. He was gassed. Mouth was wide open. He was finding some success with the striking in the beginning of the fight. I don't know if it's because of the weight difference that the power and the sting behind the punches didn't have as much weight on them as they usually do, literally. No pun intended, I should say. But yeah, it just looked like Charles Oliveira was able to eat those shots and get in. Now, in the 5th round, I think he did what he should have been doing the entire fight. Instead of backing straight up when Charles Oliveira was kind of ducking down for the wrestling shots, he should have sprawled, circled out. That way he wouldn't get caught up against the cage as much. But he was just backing, running straight back, and then he gets caught in the cage. And like you said, lift up, take down, take the back, wash, rinse, repeat. So, but in that 5th round, he was able to circle out, use his hips a little bit more and while defending the takedowns. And for a moment there, he ended up on top. But I think Jimmy Smith, rather, the MMA commentator and combat sports commentator, he mentioned this on his podcast as well. It was pretty much Charles Oliveira, we know, decorated black belt in jiu-jitsu. And Max Holloway, we know he has decent jiu-jitsu. We think it's probably equivalent to like a purple belt. And while a purple belt is very, very capable of handling themselves, just the types of positions that they put themselves in, black belts just know instinctively where to put themselves in specifically. And even though they may not be submitting you, you already know that they're just dominating you because of the position that they're putting themselves in. So even when Max Holloway was on top, you can already see Oliveira working his way out, going into the deep half guard, trying to elevate that leg, get underneath, get Max Holloway's body moving backwards so that he can kind of collapse on the knee that's on the ground and then probably get a takedown from there. So Oliveira's thinking all of these things while Max Holloway was just sitting there. He wasn't trying to bring his leg, like his second leg, up on the ground and try to post up and try to stand up and at least be back into a neutral position. I think Oliveira had his hand inside on the ankle. Max Holloway wasn't fighting that grip as well. So again, it just tells you the differences in competence within the art of jiu-jitsu and within the art of grappling that both men possess. Oliveira is just at a more advanced level, and he was able to get the victory. Now, I was kind of looking through, watching the fight through, and I was like, are we going to get those 10 seconds? I don't think Oliveira want them 10 seconds. And then we heard the clapper. They had gotten back up, but then within like 6 seconds left, Oliveira pointed down, Holloway pointed down. Oliveira caught him with a right hook. And they were swinging, but I think Oliveira was smart in that regard. It was like, let me just, we ain't going to do it at the 10 seconds. Let me do this so that I have enough cushion to be able to still get this victory and not get dropped and not get gay cheat, if you will.
Right. I mean, because anything can happen. All it takes is one lucky punch. One punch just to land right on that reset button. And all that work you did for 5 rounds just goes out the window. So you're right.
Exactly.
Decision.
Exactly. Yeah, he made a business decision indeed, just like Dustin Poirier did when he fought Max Holloway. He was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna drop me in my retirement fight. Let me just back away. I don't want them problems. I'm all good. My whole family here. You're not gonna embarrass me in front of my family."
No.
So. With that, I guess we could go ahead and examine about where each of these fighters go from here. Let's start with the victor, Charles Oliveira. He's like we mentioned before, he came off a big loss against Ilya, but he bounced back pretty well. What do you see is next for Oliveira? Again, Will mentioned what's next on the plate of Ilya Topuria and essentially and generally what is next for the lightweight championship coming up a little bit later. But we do have a fight set for the undisputed UFC lightweight championship in a little bit, or in a couple months, I should say, in a few months, I should say. So I doubt Oliveira jumps right back into the contender picture. There are a lot of guys out there that are still pretty dangerous. Like, I mean, could you put him against a Paddy? Do you put him against Arman again? They fought before. Arman was able to get the victory. Not easily, but you could tell that Arman was kind of in control of that fight. Now, Oliveira had his moments, but I think most people scored that fight for Arman Tsarukyan. So do you put them back together? Like, do you do Fiziev? He's kind of on the outside looking in. What do you think is next for the Bronx?
Being, on all honesty, I'm kind of interested to see what the outcome of the Ilya fight coming up, because I think that kind of dictates exactly what the next move would be for Oliveira. I mean, anybody that Oliveira fights is going to be like a challenging for that ranking, you know. And Oliveira's at like number 3. I think he's at right now today. It looks like he's at number 3. Would Arman, Oliveira 2 be up in the cards? I wouldn't mind seeing it, but is that the fight to make? I think Oliveira showed a dominant enough performance that I think he should be in the title contention. And again, it all depends on the outcome of this the champ's next fight. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I don't know, because I don't think you should throw him right back up. I mean, well, like you said, I think it could depending on who wins. Like if Ilya wins, then I don't think you could do that rematch. But if the interim champion, one Justin Gaethje, as we mentioned before, if he ends up winning, then maybe I can see a matchup between those two. But again, it's hard to argue Oliveira jumping up over Tsarukyan, who still technically is number 1.
I agree. I just don't think Dana is going to let him out for whatever reason. For whatever reason, he's got some beef against Arman, and it's like it's petty, it's pathetic. Listen, we all have had that coworker or that boss that we've not seen eye to eye at all with, but to steal from their sister company, WWE, you got to do what's best for business. And at this point, I think the UFC is starting to, experience a bit of a dip. And we've talked about the reasons why they're experiencing a little bit of the dip, but I think in order to get back in the good graces of the fans, like me, you, and everyone else that's listening here, they have to start putting on more compelling fights. And I think starting with Arman, that would be a good one. Get the cuffs off of him, give him free. Like that was our, Kings of Sport podcast title. Wink, wink. Give him something. Another one that's been like, played around with a bit is what's his name? Beneil Dariush.
Yes.
That's another fighter that I don't think that gets the respect that he deserves, or the fights that he deserves for that matter. Because I think he could be in top contention as well. And he's right now ranked number 12. And I really think that he needs to get more active. And there's other fighters too, but this is just a lightweight division we're talking about. So, or heavyweight division anyway. So lightweight, I'm sorry. But yeah, those are just two fighters. And again, a lot has to go out with the Ilya outcome of the fight. If Gaethje wins, then yes, I think that you're right. Oliveira, Gaethje should go for the title. If Ilya wins, it's probably not going to happen. But after the performance against Holloway, I wouldn't be upset to see that. But Arman definitely needs to be in a conversation either way.
Yeah. I think it's long overdue, like you mentioned. I think UFC is kind of still salty from Arman not being able to go to the weigh-ins due to some health issues when he had a fight lined up against Islam Makhachev while Islam Makhachev was still champion. So I think they're still holding that against him, even though all he has done is win. But I think they have to eventually get over it. Like you said, I think eventually they'll think about what's best for business, and they'll end up putting him in that position for him to vie for the lightweight title. So we'll see what happens with that. How about our guy Blessed, man? What's next for him? I think the end is kind of approaching pretty rapidly. Like he's still decent, but like a lot of people say, you never want to go out when you're right at the bottom. You still want to go out while you still have some fight left in you. So, do you think he has maybe 1-2 more fights left in him before he hangs it up?
At max, pardon the pun, 2. I think he's got 2 fights left, depending on what his next draw is. You know, I heard a saying today is the fighter is the last one to know that they don't have it no more. And I think we're getting to that point where he's about to figure out and find out, like, bro, we ain't him no more. You know, so and it's sad. I would like for him to have that retirement fight that we just talked about. Dustin Poirier had that retirement fight announced and, you know, go out on his own terms like that. But I don't think that's Max Holloway's way of doing it. So, but yeah, I don't know who would be next for him. I think I could see, you know, somebody like Emmanuel Torres, you know, making a claim to, you know, be like, hey, if I'm a contender, I need to prove against a Holloway to see that, you know, I've got what it takes to be in the, you know, a top challenger for, you know, this title, you know. I don't know. I would like to see another one was what's his name? I really like Dan Hooker, but I think that's a Hooker and Holloway. I would love to see that, but I mean, I like both dudes, so I really wouldn't want to see either lose. So, but that would be an interesting one to make as well too, because Hooker is he's having a resurgence as well too.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a setback against Benoit Saint Denis, but yeah,
he did, but most people do.
Yeah,
Benoit Saint Denis he's a different dude, you know.
That is true. That is true. All right, but yeah, and I was just thinking about that as well. So you think then he's going to go back to 155? You don't think he's going to go back down to 145?
Okay, so Volkanovski's a champ on that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
He ain't taking the belt off of him.
Right.
He ain't taking the belt off of Ilya either at this point. But I mean, there are some intriguing matchups over there. Like you've got Patricio Pitbull. That's it over there. That's something that would we didn't think years ago was even a possibility. That would be an intriguing fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some fights to be made, but also the speed is a bit different. I think he's a step or two behind a lot of these cats in the top 10.
With Max?
With Holloway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With Holloway. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see some of these, like, these young lions coming up against the grit. Who would have thought years ago, grizzled old vet Max Holloway? You know what I mean? But it would be interesting to see. I mean, if he decides to go down to featherweight, or even if he stays at the lightweight ranking, I think he's going to be regulated now to relegated. That's the word I'm looking for, to a gatekeeper at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. But again, if he only got like one or two more fights left in him, then that might be the best thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't want to put him against like an up and comer who's speeding up. So we'll see what happens with both of those gentlemen. Before we go on to the rest of the card and what your thoughts were, you mentioned Beneil Dariush. So with my mind, I just think he always is on the cusp, but he's never able to have that breakthrough performance against a top guy. So I'm looking at his record right now. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and pull it up on the screen. So, yeah, I think at one time he had like a 12-fight win streak, and then he ran up into like some top guys. So let me expand this a little bit so you can see. So we'll see. He had a win over Thiago Moises. He had a win over Drew Dober, win over Frank Camacho, win over Drakkar Klose. That was a phenomenal fight between those two. That was back and forth. Win over Sky Holtzman. Let me see. That's 5. Win over Diego Ferreira, 6. Went over Tony Ferguson, 7. Went over Mateus Gamrot, 8. And then he went up against Charles Oliveira, lost to Charles Oliveira by TKO in 2023. Lost to Armand. You mentioned people suffer losses to Armand pretty often. And then had a win against Hanato Moicano, but then lost against Benoit Saint Denis. That's who you mentioned. A lot of people lose against. And now he is rumored, or it's confirmed now, to have a fight against Killian Soulkilled, who is an up-and-comer, who I think in his most recent fight had a phenomenal knockout in his last fight. Okay. So that's where Benny Dariush stands. Shout out to Beneil Dariush. He comes out of King's MMA over, I think it's in San Diego. My guy, one of my close friends, Johnny, trains out of there. So shout out to King's MMA. Shout out to Benny Dariush.
All right.
But yeah, let's go into the rest of the card for UFC 326. I'll just do a quick blurb on each of the fights, and then you tell me if there are any performances that stood out to you. So, and by the way, for those who were looking for it on Paramount and they're like, oh, I can't find it, that's because they aired it on CBS, guys. They aired it originally live on CBS, and then I think they started trickling the fights on Paramount Plus a little bit later after the live airing. So with that, like I said, Charles Oliveira is your new. Oh, well, I'll mention this before we even get to the rest of them. You mentioned this was not B.M.F. quality. This was not stand and bang, leave your grappling at the door. 2 men enter, 1 man leave, as Mad Max would say. So do you think this is pretty much the death of the B.M.F. belt? I hope it is. But I think I mentioned on when we were talking on the Kings of Sport, right here on the Farius Media Network. I think even though I have my disdain for it, I think the B.M.F. title has become a secondary title in the vein of an intercontinental title when we're talking about WWE and pro wrestling. It's like a secondary title where, although all the marbles aren't on the line, it's still something that somebody could fight for, be proud of, and people could get excited over, even though it's not a real belt. It's not a real belt. It means nothing. But it's a secondary title that people get excited over. But do you think with this fight, like I said, Charles Oliveira fought the smart fight. He didn't put himself in much danger or put himself at risk very much. He went out to get the dub. He got the dub.
Mm-hmm.
Smart on him. For those, like you said, that are more of the just bleed crowd that just want to see people go rock'em sock'em robots.
Savages.
Yeah, exactly. Savages. This did not appeal to those folks. So do you think this is the death of the B.M.F. belt?
I think it is, and it should be. I think there's more weight to it with the idea of this dude being the baddest MF on the planet is a whole lot better than that title. I mean, it's to me, it's like in boxing, they've got like 15 different titles and all but maybe 13 of them are trash looking. This is one of those trash looking titles. It reminds me of the old revamped version of the ECW title. I didn't like it. It's a silver belt, so it's like this second place, right? And so that's what kind of vibe off to me, you know. So until they take it seriously, I'm not going to take it seriously, you know. So it's again, if you want to say that you're the baddest MFer in your division or in the conference or whatever, that's fine. But just take the belt away. And again, the UFC doesn't do themselves any favors by not making it a special title. Like if you're gonna go like make it a stand and bang type of title, then make those rules.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna do it, but I mean, again, we're fantasy booking, and that's to me, I can understand why a lot of the fans were not feeling that as the B.M.F. belt, you know, going back and forth or whatever. But I completely understand and see that side of it. But me, in totality, I love the fight. I like the human chess match appeal to what it was, and should have been called a B.M.F. title fight, not by the performance, but I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could have. I think it could have still worked. Like, if you were expecting, and I think a lot of people were expecting Oliveira to stand and bang for a little bit. Like, we knew that he was going to resort to the grappling sooner or later. But he has decent stand up as well. Like he's knocked people out. He's put people down. Like he's dropped people and then submitted them from there.
He dropped Holloway as well in that fight.
He did, yeah. I believe what was that? The second or third round?
Yeah. One of those two rounds. He made him bend the knee. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's got the power and he's got the striking. It's just he wanted to guarantee the win. And in order to guarantee the win, you go to what you're exponentially better at than your opponent, which was his grappling and which was his jiu-jitsu. So like you said, if they want to make it a stand and bang title, make it instead of an intercontinental belt, make it like the hardcore belt, where we'd be like, all right, if you try to shoot, you get doctor point or something like that. I don't know how that's going to work with the state regulatory commissions, but be like, or you get a warning if you try to go in for a shot, like a wrestling shot or picking your opponent up. You get a warning the first time, and then the next time you get a point off, and then the next time you get disqualified or something like that. Like you can only throw strikes. You can't do nothing else. Yeah, make it like a hardcore belt, or like you said, with specialized rules.
Unless you make them tap. If you make them tap, then okay, you proved your point. You know?
Yeah, that is true. So, but yeah, we'll see what the future is for the B.M.F. belt. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the rest of the fights on the card. So, like I said, Charles Oliveira is your B.M.F. champion for now. We'll see what happens with that belt. All right. On the co-main, you had Caio Borralho defeat Reiner de Ritter, unanimous decision victory. Those two kind of slugged it out. De Ritter, he was kind of on a hot streak. Then he got derailed in his last fight by stoppage. And And then they just pretty much had a slug out, but no big knockout or drops from either man. They just went in there. I think Ritter was a bit gun shy and trying to get his game going, and Caio was just all over. So Caio Bahallo wins by unanimous decision. Then we had Raul Rosas. I was going to bring this up earlier, but you talked about old man Max, but at one time he was a protege. He was a prodigy, if you will. I think he came in the UFC when he was a teenager, like Raul Rosas Jr. did. Raul Rosas, who came in when he was 18, he's now 21, and he's now putting things together with his grappling, and he got a big unanimous decision win over Rob Font on the evening. Then we get into our finishes. So on the main card, we had Drew Dober with just a crushing left hand straight down the pike. It was a right hook to set up, left hand to come down the pike, starched Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
Had one follow-up shot, then he knew it was over. So Drew Dober, the Doberman, gets the knockout / TKO victory over Michael Johnson. Both men UFC veterans who've been at it for a while.
Right.
And then to open up our main card, we had Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez starching Bruno Ferreira with a straight right. It looked more of a right hook as Ferreira was switching stances, just caught him right on the button, like milliseconds after he switched stances. The right hook just caught him right on the button, put him out. RoboCop gets the victory by KO. So any of these performances stood out to you, Brother Jay?
Man, the last two you mentioned, RoboCop with the stop, and then Drew Dober, Michael Johnson. I mean, Michael Johnson, you hate to see it. I mean, you bring your friends and family out, like, hey, come out and support me, and then next thing you know, you're just waking up, toes up, looking at the lights, you know, and he got knocked out pretty thoroughly, you know, and yeah, RoboCop. Every single time I see that man fight, it's impressive, you know, every single time. I mean, they're going to start off to, you know, up in the ante on this brother because he got NyQuil in his fist.
Indeed. And they're at the 185. So, I mean, there's some room for him to move up now, especially we just talked about Rainier de Ritter. He's in 185 too. So he can start making his way up and start really putting himself in the position to get into the top 15 and the top 10 pretty soon. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, like you said, Michael Johnson, it was crazy. He got dropped and then Dober came around for like the finishing touch. But then as soon as Dober got off and the referee came up, like Michael Johnson woke up and he was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was still going. And that's what I felt real bad for. It was like you feel bad for people when they just knocked out, slept, and then the referee and the doctor's trying to bring him back to some sort of consciousness. But you really feel bad when it's like you've been knocked out for maybe 1-2 seconds, and then you come back, and then you don't realize that the fight's over. Like, I really feel bad.
And the thing about it too, I mean, on the commentary, you know, they said when Dober hit him with the left, his face did indent. It indented. I had to rewind it, and I looked at it. I was like, oh my gosh, he caught him. I'm surprised he woke up from something like that, because that was a crushing, a hit to the temple, right? So, of course, you know, and then to absorb the secondary hit once he hit the mat. And then as he was falling, he hits the back of his head. So, of course, all of that is just a recipe for disaster. So, yeah, I mean, hate to see it. And shout out to Dober, because that was a clean shot.
Yeah. What you just brought up, the secondary impact, that's what I was thinking about. Like the punch, the initial punch, that was brutal to see, and just the way his face contorted. But the way he fell back in the back of the head, like you said, hit the mat and bounced off the canvas, that's where all the trouble can happen. So that's why I was kind of glad that he came back too, because that could have been disastrous from the secondary impact. But yeah, Drew Dober, and from what I was watching, Michael Johnson won the first round of that fight.
Oh yeah, he was doing his thing. He was doing his thing. Like we said earlier, all it takes is one lucky shot to sneak in there, and it could be curtains for anybody, So
yeah. I think he was winning that first round, but then I think he started backing straight up a little bit more and not circling off from the power hand, and then Dober was just more aggressive with going forward, and I think that worked out for Dober in the end. So shout out to Drew Dober, and shout out to Michael Johnson too. They've been doing it for a while, doing this for a long time. All right, so before we put the finishing touches on UFC 326, are there any other fights that maybe you might have checked out? I'm not sure if you checked out the prelim card. If there's any other fights that stood out to you, or any other performances that stood out to you.
I did catch the end of the Cody Garbrandt, Zhao Long fight. Again, another dude that's been doing it for a long time, Cody Garbrandt. So I don't know. He was the underdog in that fight too.
Oh
so, yeah. So
this could have been the fight he got cut in.
Could have been, but yeah, I didn't see any other the other fights or anything like that. But I really tuned in for the main card.
Hey, and I assure you, you're most likely are not the only one.
Typically, I would. I mean, I would have like the prelim fights on, because you never know who you're gonna see there and what's gonna be brought to the table. So you want to be at least one of the first people to recognize the next up and comer. So, but I missed it. Life happens.
Indeed. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on. So we're going to take a bit of a break, and then we're going to come right back here, and we're going to discuss the future. Like I said, the format here. We discuss the past, and then we're going to go into the short-term future, talk about the UFC Freedom 250 card that's up. It's now been revealed. We'll talk about whether it's just what the doctor ordered, or whether it's a little bit meh, or whether it's way underwhelming than what they were advertising before. We'll also talk about Francis Ngannou coming back to MMA after being out for about 2-3 years, returning to MMA on the Netflix card with Carano against Rousey, and a whole lot more news that we'll bring up. So don't change it down. Don't change your podcast. We'll be right back right after this. Hi. It's your boy Two-Way Ray, and I'm just coming across your earwaves and interrupting this program for a very important message from us here at Nefarious Media Network. You see, we know that you guys love helping us out. And by the way, if you're hearing that little ditty in the background and you're familiar with our work, that's when we start feeding the ducks around here on the parlay. But in order to continue to support programs here like the Parlay, like the Adventures Initiative, like TDT Talks and Kung Fu Island, and of course the flagship Kings of Sport podcast, we just need you guys to help us out. And there are a few ways that you can do that. You see, One way, completely free. And that's by supporting us on all of our social media channels, whether it be X/Twitter, whether it be Instagram, or whether it be even our YouTube channel while we're on the drive for 500. You can follow us on all those different platforms absolutely free. Just type in Nefarious Media Network and it should take you right to it. Other ways that you can support us, again, another way that's completely free is by sharing us with your friends, with your family, even your enemies. Everybody needs a good podcast to listen to now and then, so please make sure to spread the word. And one more way that we can continue to bring truthful, thoughtful, and turned up entertainment and education to your earlobes and to your eyeballs is by supporting us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Nefarious Media Network. You see, you can get over 300 hours of great entertainment and education, whether it be in the realms of comic books or sports, professional wrestling, politics, even on sometimes education, as Professor Chris can drop some knowledge on you every now and then. So please, it costs you $5 a month. As Brother Nate loves to say, $5 gets you in the door. If you want to pay more, we won't stop you. And while you're joining the Patreon, or while you're a part of the Patreon, be on the lookout for the perks that we offer you guys. Be on the lookout for live watches that you can directly be a part of. Also be on the lookout for exclusive audio that cannot be found anywhere else but the Patreon, including our Styles Break Fights extra podcast, where either myself and Chi-Chi will come on the air and just give you more information about what we talked about, or if there's any breaking news in the MMA world. So please be on the lookout for those things if you're already a member. And if you're not a member, go ahead, $5 for the cost of a biggie bag, less than a biggie bag nowadays. You can be a part of this revolution as it's getting broadcasted. So we appreciate you guys for supporting us thus far. And we ask that if you're not supporting us in any of those ways that I mentioned, that you please help out the cause. As I mentioned before, the drive for 500 goes along not only with the YouTube channel, but also with the Patreon subscription. So please, if you can spare, we would really appreciate it. But if you can't, any of those free options are available as well. So with that, I thank you so very much for listening. And let's get on back to the program. Yeah. Feed those ducks. Oh, yeah. Feed those ducks. Preview of some. If we get to 500, feed those ducks. And we are back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And by the way, quick editor's note, Patreon is now $3. $3 gets you in the doors. Now, for the size, not even of a biggie bag, but maybe like a large soda, you can go ahead and be a part of our Patreon family. So please consider joining if you can spare. All right. So with that, Brother Jay, let's go ahead like I mentioned before the break, let's get into what's coming up in the world of MMA. There are some big announcements and some big developments to cards that we talked about last month. So, not the least being Francis Ngannou. He's been missing. He's been on the tour since initially leaving the UFC. He joined the PFL for a spell at one fight. Famously had 2 boxing fights against Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. A lot of people thought that he beat Tyson Fury, and then he pretty much got schooled by Anthony Joshua. But now he is returning to MMA after about a 2 or 3 year absence. He is going to be fighting on the UFC, or not UFC. He's going to be fighting on that Netflix card being promoted by Jake Paul's MV Promotions, Most Valuable Promotions. I'm trying not to say MVP Promotions because that's redundant. Yeah. And he will be the co-main of the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, not to be confused with Carlo Gugino. Right. So, with that, what do you think about the comeback of Francis Ngannou, my brother?
I watched a bit of the press conference, and he had some things to say about, the whole situation on the competition, and I'm happy to see him fight, man. I'm happy to see him get paid what he feels that he deserves to get paid. And I think all fighters, anybody in any profession, should be paid what they're valued at. I don't care if you're a TSA worker. My heart goes out to you guys. I don't care if you're a teacher. Teachers need to be paid more. And these fighters as well, too. I mean, they're putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. And if they're not being fairly compensated, then you should go or be able to get that bag. And I'm happy that he's being able to make a living doing what he loves to do, and that's beat people up. And so if he can, find somebody that'll cut that check for him, and if he's able to perform at a high level and bring in some W's, and so be it. Go ahead and do that. So I'm anxious to see what he looks like after 3 years. I know it's we're only talking about a 3-year layover for him. Think of what the main card, or the main event is. We're talking about 2 fighters. One hasn't fought in over a decade, and another one is going close to a decade. So I think if you've trained all your life to do a specific thing, once you get a training camp under your belt, things will start coming back to you. It's almost like, and I have no idea, but I would imagine it would be like riding a bike. So it's going to be interesting to see what version of Francis Ngannou we get on Netflix in May.
Indeed. And you mentioned the press conference. I believe he was talking to a reporter or talking to a media member, and they were asking him about his legacy and whether this tarnishes his legacy while being out of the UFC. And he pretty much just said, hey, my legacy is my children. My legacy is putting food on the table, putting clothes on their back, making sure that they're taken care of. That's my legacy. I don't care about any of this. Oh, you think I'm the best heavyweight? All this stuff. He was like, that is my legacy. You could stuff that other legacy up where the sun don't shine. He, in no uncertain terms, he said. So yes, I'm in total agreement with you there as far as just, hey, do what's best for you. Because we know UFC is not looking out for what's best for the fighters. They're looking out for what's best for the UFC. So if you can get out of that, still spare yourself from extraordinary damage. I know fighters have aches and pains all over. They're never really truly 100%. And that also can go into what happens when a fighter's body starts to deteriorate as they get older. So if you can, while you're still in a healthy enough position to make money for yourself and for your family, and you're able to play the promotions. Well, not play the promotions, but kind of negotiate for yourself between the promotions and get what's best for you and what you deserve and what you've earned, then my hat's off to you. Go ahead and do what you need to do. So I think that brother is in a good position. We talked about the promotions playing themselves against each other. Well, we heard in that same press conference Ronda Rousey's feelings about the UFC now that it has been taken over by TKO. And she's mentioned in several interviews prior to the press conference and even at the press conference how she has no problems with Dana. She doesn't have any problems with Dana. She actually pitched the fight with her and Gina Carano with Dana, but they weren't able to pay them with them recently having to deal with Paramount Plus and not having any pay-per-views. They weren't able to have pay-per-view points. You can't have pay-per-view points if you don't have a pay-per-view. So they couldn't negotiate what Ronda was looking for, and so they ended up going over to MV Promotions, and they were able to strike a deal that suited them. With Ronda, she was saying that she has no ill will against Dana, but she has more ill will against the UFC. And earlier you were talking about wanting the UFC to make the fights that the public wanted to see. Well, Ronda Rousey doesn't think that that's going to happen because they've made their money. Well, they got their money already, whether they make great fights or not. She said they're looking out for the shareholders, Brother Jay. They don't care about the fight fan no more. That's why MV Promotions is putting on the fights that you want to see. Like you said, against two women who at least haven't been in a cage for about 9, 10, 11 years. That's the fight we wanted to see as fight fans, ain't it, Jay? But yeah, she's going off on the UFC, and I'm kind of seeing, and especially I guess we could kind of transition this over to John Jones being disgruntled over over his fallout and not being added to the White House card. So we're kind of seeing some dissension within the ranks of the UFC fighters. Do you think that MVP can be a viable option for at least the top guys? We haven't seen the rest of the card for the Rousey Carano card, so we don't know if they're going to put in any up-and-comers or any veteran fighters on this card. But do you think that the MVP can be a valuable option as far as opposing the UFC and kind of not poaching fighters, but kind of being a second option, i.e. or vis-a-vis AEW with a WWE?
I think it's a little too early to say. I think this card right here in May with Netflix is MVP's all. It was what came first, All In or All Out? Before AEW was even
All In.
All In, yeah. So this is their All In. So I think this is their opportunity to showcase what they can do. The potential is there, but I think that before they can even say that they're a viable alternative to a UFC, I'm still waiting to see exactly what this card finalized looks like at the end of the day. You know, because every once in a while when a Jake Paul fight comes up, it's like once, maybe twice a year that he has a fight or whatever. And yeah, I'll tune in and watch. But I think that's probably what's going to happen if they decide to continue this mixed martial arts route with MVP. 1 card, 2 cards a year, that's not really an alternative unless they're like super cards and they're like loaded up with talent that and fights that we're wanting to see from different promotions that might be in across the pond in Europe and in Asia. Maybe they could team up with a one fighting championship. Who knows? I mean, they could. The world is their oyster at this point, and so I'm very curious to see how they navigate through this, how they pay their fighters, and if they decide to be an alternative, how what that looks like in the long term. But I think it's too early to say that they could be a viable competition to UFC. The UFC is a juggernaut, and they know they're a juggernaut. And I think the fighters are now starting to wake up to the realization, like, look, y'all talking record profits, y'all talking about these multi-million-dollar gates, and I'm being paid pennies on the dollar. What's up with that? Mm-hmm. So until they are able to organize, whether it's a union or what have you, they're going to be paid pennies on the dollar because of the contracts that they signed.
Yeah. And not only that, but considering Dana White, he just signed Conor Benn, who is a relatively known boxer,
right?
Not in the same realm as, say, a Canelo Alvarez, but a relatively known fighter. But it was reported that he was signed to a one-fight deal for $15 million with Zuffa Boxing, and fighters are kind of angry over that and like, oh, you could pay him $15 million, but you can't pay us. And so I think you hit the nail right on the head as far as them in comparison to what they're worth and what they bring to the organization. Yeah, they're getting paid pennies, especially now with the Paramount deal, and now the champions don't get the right to have pay-per-view points or interest or getting extra money off of the backs of how many pay-per-views that they can sell. So it'll be interesting to see MVP develop as a promotion within the MMA sphere. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have to do a lot to be number two, because right now PFL, about a month or two ago, the founder has left the company, and I believe under the new ownership, it's only got 1 year left in its deal with ESPN. So we'll see what happens with the PFL. Like you said, one championship is more on the outskirts as far as doing international cards, but they really don't do a lot of cards within the United States. So a lot of people within the United States aren't familiar with them. I know some people are trying to push Combates Americas. They're trying to get that promotion off the ground. But like you said, UFC is the juggernaut. It's the 800-pound gorilla right now. So we'll see what happens with MVP and whether they can have a viable UFC or not, a viable MMA arm to stand in competition with the UFC. We'll see. All right. Well, with that, let's go into the UFC Freedom 250 card. So as I pull this up, we heard about the main and the co-main. Well, we actually heard about the entire card. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. So, spoiler alert, no John Jones. Spoiler alert, no Conor McGregor. But we do have some exciting main event and co-main event on the horizon. So we did get confirmation that, yes, my God, what's my guy's name? Alex Poatan Ferreira has relinquished his light heavyweight championship. He is going up in weight to heavyweight to take on Ciryl Gane for the UFC interim heavyweight championship, while Tom Aspinall is still on the shelf due to the eye injuries sustained in his fight against Ciryl Gane. And we also, in our co-main, have the previously mentioned UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria returning after a bit of hiatus, dealing with some personal issues going on in his life. But now he is returning to fight against the UFC interim lightweight champion, the only man to hold the interim title twice, one Justin Gaethje. So with that, we'll stick with the the main and the co-main, and then we'll go down the list. So the main and the co-main, do those two interest you? Do those two fights interest you? Get your blood pumping and get you ready to watch this fight on the White House lawn, to observe freedom and liberty and pursuit of happiness with the flag flying in the background with the eagle coming. Does that get that spirit pumping within you, Brother Jay?
It's all right. I mean, I think the Cyril Gane Alex Pereira fight is going. I don't anticipate that going the full length of the fight, all 5 rounds. I don't see it. I anytime I see Alex Pereira fight, it's a treat. You know, this dude. I love Street Fighter, and one of my favorite characters to use is Sagat.
Oh yeah,
he reminds me of him a lot. I mean, with the way it just first, he's tall like him. He's got a similar frame. I love watching Peloton, except when he's against Israel Adesanya, but nonetheless. But is this a Freedom 250 worthy card? No. At least speaking for these two fights, no, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, you got Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria. That should be okay too. But I mean, when you build this card up to be like the biggest, baddest UFC event that we're going to do, and then you've got this to come out with, is leaves a lot more to be desired, to be honest with you.
Well, hold on, Jay. Hold on. I didn't get through the rest of the card, brother. So come on now. Save your excitement, all right? Listen to who else is on this card, all right?
Okay, my excitement right now is at a 5. It can only go higher or lower, okay?
All right. Let's see if we can get it above that 5, brother. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Amon Sahabi in the main card. We got Mauricio Houfi, who came off of a knockout win, facing Michael Chandler, right? That's got to be a banger, right? We got Bo Nickel, the multi-time NCAA wrestling champion, going against Kyle Dawkins, That's on the main card. And then one more fight, we got Diego Lopez coming off of his title contention against Alex Volkanovski, taking on Steve Garcia. Everybody knows Steve Garcia, right, Jay? Come on, don't that get the blood pumping?
The Steve Garcia?
The Steve. There's only one Steve Garcia, Jay.
I'm happy Diego Lopez is getting a check for that fight.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And like people were saying, I think there were reports that the president wanted, we need 6-7 fights. We need 6-7 title fights on this card. There's only the best on the White House lawn. But yeah, we definitely not getting 6-7 title fights. As MMA talking head Luke Thomas was saying, that would only cannibalize the rest of the cards going into the rest of the year. You can't just throw everything, but it seems like they tried it. And it seems like they tried to get John Jones. They couldn't come to a deal. And in effect, Dana White kind of blamed John Jones. Oh, well, we couldn't make the fight because of his arthritis. And then John Jones goes on his usual Twitter tirades that he next day ends up deleting all of the tweets. But Twitter is forever, John. People screenshots all forever, John.
Exactly.
And then he ends up putting a very lengthy statement out on his Instagram saying, hey, we were trying to come up to a deal. How you gonna say that my arthritis or that I wasn't getting cleared and that was precluding what was me supposed to be on the card, where you was trying to lowball me off of what I wanted as far as my payment and as far as my not restitution, but as far as what I'm owed. You trying to lowball me? Well, if I would have accepted the lowball offer, would my hip or my arthritis been magically fine? I don't get it. So, and then he proceeds to request his release. So, that was one fighter who you wanted to see on the card, who would have had big eyeballs on the card, but who you couldn't get on the card. Then Conor McGregor. At one moment he's in, another moment he's out. Next moment he's saying, "Oh, they didn't contact me yet," and so he's not on the card either. So, do you think even with those guys on the card, would it have been like Freedom 250 worthy for you? Would it have been over a 5 for you?
No.
Exactly.
Honestly, no. I mean, John Jones' last fight against Cyril Gane was really impressive. I mean, hip arthritis or not, he was moving, So, would it be interesting to see what he could do against maybe a Peloton? Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
that's the dream. That right there could have easily moved the needle up to about a 8 or 9. I mean, just to see exactly what that'll turned out to be, but we're not going to get that because the UFC, I mean, Ronda Rousey was saying, or she wasn't even implying, she was saying that Dana White at this point is just a figurehead.
Yep.
He's just a front man for the corporation, and he doesn't have the power to sign these fights or, make those power money moves like they're used to in the past, So with that being said, if your hands are tied, your hands are tied. You can't really do anything. And so now the fighters are starting to see that Oz isn't real. The puppet master is actually, what was it? I guess the Emperor's there's some kind of term that's escaping me, so I'm just going to the Emperor's
Emperor has
like
no clothes or something.
Yes, that's the one right there, right? So they're starting to see that, hey, you know what? This maybe is not the move for us, So again, I think a Conor McGregor, we haven't seen him fight in years at this point. I don't think he's got that same hunger that he had coming into it. I mean, he's got other, interests that are taking his attention away. But since we don't have Conor McGregor, we do have Sean O'Malley. Don't get me wrong. I like Sean O'Malley. I like him. I like, his game. But it's not the same cachet and name, So the card is all right. But, I mean, it's not – they hyped up the card to be something that is clearly not ever going to be.
Yeah. And quick correction, the lightweight championship fight is the main event and the interim heavyweight championship fight is the co-main event. So just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not too excited over this either. And as I was mentioning to you, and I've been mentioning here for months, at first I was like, hey, I need somebody to let me borrow that red hat so I could sneak up in here and see if I could
blend in.
represent nefarious while still being able to do my job and cover the sport while being incognito, if you will. But now I'm definitely not excited enough to try to look for a red hat now. Now I might just go as myself and see how that gets me. Yeah, I just think, like you said, even if those would have materialized, like John's getting older. It's not like he's out here, and it wasn't even in his prime. It wasn't like he was out here knocking people out, and like and towards the end of his light heavyweight run, he was kind of the fights were getting closer and closer and closer, and he was edging out. He was still undefeated, essentially, but fights were getting closer and closer, whether it be with with Thiago. Oh, what's my guy name? Not Thiago Alves, but Thiago with the sledgehammer in his chest. Santos, I believe.
Yeah,
Thiago Santos.
yeah.
Whether it be Anthony, not Anthony Johnson. He fought Anthony Johnson. He kind of dominated Anthony Johnson. But Anthony Smith, who is just retired. That was a pretty close fight that he had. Dominic Reyes. All those fights were towards the end of his light heavyweight run. And then even with Cyril Gane, like, he dominated. He got the submission victory, but it wasn't as though, this is the John Jones who's now in heavyweight now. And then he beat an old Stipe. He beat down an old Stipe.
Yeah.
And then that was pretty much it. Like, for the most part, within the last, 5 years, he's fought twice. So, yeah.
He's fought more court cases than he has actual people.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. And so, yeah, it's hard to say. But I do agree with him, fighting for his compensation. He's worth it. And he brings a lot more to the UFC. And I've talked about it. He's essentially the Randy Orton of the UFC, where even I think he had the potential of being the Rock of MMA instead of being Randy Orton. I think some people disagree with that, but I think like Randy Orton is considered one of the best of all time, but he's not transcending the sport. I think John Jones could have transcended the sport, a la Dwayne Johnson. So, but to instances of his own doing, that didn't happen. But I'm never going to say that he doesn't deserve like top compensation, because he does. So, and we all know about him looking for $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. UFC saying, all right, we'll get the 30 million. We'll talk to Turkey. We'll talk to the PIF, the Public Interest Fund. We'll see if we can get this money for you. And then it was like, you know what? On second thought, nah, I'm good. So it's like, on one hand, it's like, I do feel for you a little bit, John, but on the other hand, it's like, nah, I really don't. I don't feel for you like that. You're not a very sympathetic figure, my friend.
One more thing, to as we're still on the Freedom 250 card, there is one glaring omission, and I don't think I've heard anybody talk about it. It's like, where's a female fight? Where are the female fighters? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would love to see some representation, It can't be the only one asking that question, At least put a female title fight on there if there's room for it, something. I mean, just to make it more interesting. You want to put your best fighters on, prove it. Put some of these top ladies on there. I'm sure they're looking for anything to be celebrated, and this is the card to actually do that. So, at least in my opinion, I think that would be a perfect opportunity to introduce, one of the title fights on there. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think, and that goes along to a point that I was thinking about before, as far as them wanting more Americans on this fight. I think if they wanted to have a women's fight on here, they wanted an American champion, and the only American champion that they have right now is Kayla Harrison, but Kayla Harrison's hurt. So I think that they were indeed looking to have Kayla on this card. I think if she would have been healthy enough to have that fight against Amanda Nunes, that had she have won, they would have had her on this card, no problem. If, even though she missed the Nunes fight, if she was healthy enough to come back for this fight, which a lot of people were presuming would happen, that they would have Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison on this card. So I think that's the main thing, is that they wanted, if they were going to have a woman or women's fight on here, one of them had to be American, and it would have to have had a good chance for the American to win the fight. Because when I'm looking at the Americans on this card, Gaethje versus Topuria, that ain't gonna look bad on us, dog. Or that ain't gonna look good on us, dog.
Right.
I think the Georgian / Spaniard, I think he's gonna walk out, going to be the last person to walk out of the White House victorious.
I think so too. And just as a correction, Mackenzie Dern's an American. She's got the strawweight championship.
I don't know, the way she been code switching.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it does say American Brazil, you know. So I mean, depending on who home turf she on, I guess. You know what I mean?
All right, yes, that is true. That is true. Mackenzie Dern is a champion as well. What is that? Flyweight?
Strawweight.
Yep, strawweight. But yeah, she is a champion. I mean, they could have Mackenzie on her.
If they wanted to, they could put something together. I'm just saying that it's a glaring omission, and I think that's something that could be done. And again, move the needle up for just being mad to being like, all right.
Yeah, maybe they were considering that, but they was like, but Steve Garcia though. Steve Garcia. No. I'm like, no, dog, you ain't getting Steve Garcia. I don't even know who that is.
Catching all kind of strays. Deservedly so.
Mm-hmm. Sean O'Malley, that's a winnable fight. Although I would have loved to see Sean O'Malley against Corey Sandhagen. That would have been a fight to make.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler, not looking good against Hoofy. Like I said, Hoofy had a tremendous knockout fight in his last fight.
You won't be meeting him at the top.
Yeah, and I think Chandler is just going to be rushing in, and he's going to leave himself wide open. Two Americans fighting each other. I think they're looking to feed Dawkins to Bo Nickel. We'll see if Bo Nickel can recover after his loss to Renier de Ritter. And then the world famous Steve Garcia. So
respect that man.
Put respect on the name. Just like Gerard tell me to put respect on the name of Kiana James. All right. Well, that is UFC Freedom 250, the card reveal and our thoughts on what it's going to be, what it's going to be like, and whether it's overwhelming, underwhelming, whether it meets expectations or not. We'll see what happens, man. I just find it odd that it's going to be fights and it's going to be a whole bunch of people. Now they're saying that they're going to be giving away, I don't know if you saw this, Brother Jay, but they're going to be giving away 85,000 tickets for fans to watch the fight in a nearby park in Washington, D.C. And I'm close enough. If I can't make it past security in the White House, I might be in that White House lawn. But I think a commenter mentioned, hey, do you really want that many people in one place during wartime, which is very, very reasonable. So
it's a trap.
I might not be there.
With this administration, it's a trap.
Exactly. Yeah. You can never trust this administration. I don't know. Maybe there might be ICE interviews. Who knows what's going to go on during the UFC card of the White House. But with that, exactly. All right. Well, just a few more tidbits of news we wanted to get into before we head out. So, your boy, Sean Strickland, is going to be taking on Khamzat Chimaev, aka the Chechnyan whore in his eyes, at UFC 2 our UFC 328 in Newark, New Jersey. So we, when we were last on, we were talking about Strickland's victory over Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So what do you think? And I think we were kind of mentioning, does he get an automatic title shot? Do we think that some people deserve to jump over him? So now that it is official, what do you think of this fight? And who you think is coming out on top?
I am rooting for Khamzat Chimaev with every fiber of my being. I do not like Sean Strickland. I don't care if it's an act. I don't care if he's being serious. You don't be disrespectful to people's backgrounds, race, creed, sexual orientation, whatever. You just don't be disrespectful as a humane person, right? And he's what Dave Chappelle calls a habitual line stepper, right? And I need Khamzat Chimaev for humanity just to silence him for a couple seconds, not off him, just silence him, put him to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Just hold his breath for him. You know what I'm saying? Do us all a favor. I'm not surprised that Sean Strickland got a title fight as quickly because he's making headlines negatively for himself, and some people say bad news is still good news, as long as we're making news, right? So the publicity that he's drawing is something that they want to capitalize on, and he's walking right in and playing that to a T. So I wish the worst for him. I don't want him to win. I want Chimaev just to if it goes all 5 rounds, I want him to ragdoll him all 5 rounds. I don't want it close at all. That's how I feel about him, and that's how I feel. I want the fight to go.
Gotcha. Yes, I think there's a word for that. The Schadenfreude, the wishing of ill on others. It's very strong with Brother Jay on Sean Strickland. Yeah. Again, and I'll reiterate the point that I made last time when we talked about it. I think that I think it's despicable as well. I want to make that very, very clear. I think it's despicable, all the stuff that he's been saying, like you, whether it's an act or not. But yeah, I just think by seeing on one hand the stuff that he says in the press conferences, but on the other hand, when he's breaking down and talking to Theo Von about his childhood and about being abused by his father, and then seeing again in that post-fight interview with Michael Bisping, just like lauding Fluffy Hernandez and saying that you're the man that I want to be. I think there's something in him that's of good. Like with Colby, I don't think there's any good in that man, Colby Covington. No. I think there's like a tiny bit of good, but I don't think there's much good in that man. I think there's some good in Sean Strickland. I just think he's very, very misguided. And I think you could say that a lot about these folks that get into those realms of like the red pill and the manosphere and even with white nationalism and stuff like that. They're just so misguided, and their brains are just fed such a different way because of how they grew up, but because they're vulnerable as well, and they're looking for answers. And so without going deep into the psyche of a Sean Strickland, that's just how I feel about him. I think there's some good in him, but I just think that he feels that he has a community with the red pill guys and with the Mansfield guys. So as far as the fight goes, I think he's a very good, we talked about it, he's a tremendous defensive striker. I think now that he's shown he has the power to finish fights with his hands and feet and knees, that he can be dangerous, but I think he's going to be backpedaling a lot, afraid of the takedowns and of the wrestling of Chimaev, who we saw against DDP, Dricus du Plessis. Shout out to South Africa. Shout out to you, Chi Chi.
Shout out.
Yeah, we saw him just get dominated by Chimaev on the ground. And Chimaev, similar to when we were talking about Charles Oliveira, he was not trying to play any stupid games and win any stupid prizes. He was trying to limit the risk as much as possible. And hey, if he's just going to keep letting me take him down, I'm just going to keep taking him down. And so I think that Sean Strickland can only avoid the takedowns up to a point, especially within a five round fight. So I think we will see Sean Strickland on his back pedal a lot, and we will see him get taken down quite a few times. I don't know if it'll be at the level that Chimaev did DDP, but I think it's going to come early and it's going to come often. So we'll see what happens with that. Before we get out of here, Brother Jay, I know that you wanted to tackle. Usually we just stick to the pay-per-view or / the marquee numbered events, or if you want to say premium numbered events, if they want to steal something from their sister company, instead of PLEs, they're PNEs. I just wanted to stick to the premium numbered events, brother. But you were like, hey, Ray, there's great fights happening on these fight nights too. So you were talking about upcoming cards with Israel Adesanya, former middleweight champion, taking on Joe Pyfer. You're also talking about Sean Brady taking on Joaquin Buckley. So if there are any thoughts that you had about those fights? Also, we got I think there's tonight Josh
Emmett.
Yes, Josh Emmett is going to be fighting tonight. So if you have any thoughts on any of those fights on some upcoming fight night cards, go ahead and let them be known, brother.
Yeah, I just really wanted to highlight Israel Adesanya. I am a huge Israel Adesanya fan. The creativity that he's been able to bring into the octagon as a mixed martial artist is, top tier. Again, one of my top 3 fighters of all time, honestly. I just really am, I don't want to say concerned, but that Joe Pyfer fight, that Joe Pyfer's no punk.
Right, right.
And that's one of those, it's like a gotcha fight, so I'm really interested to see exactly how or what version of Adesanya we get coming into that match. And I know that's going to happen in London later on this month. So really looking forward to that. And the other one, Brady versus Buckley, again, probably at the Meta Center, if you want to call it the Apex or whatever. I believe that's happening in April, but that caught my attention as well too. And right now I got the as we're recording this, I do have the prelims on, and so there's been a couple of fights that are I'm going to definitely go back and watch. But yeah, there's a lot of good up and comers, people names I do not recognize, and I'm very interested in seeing that. And I think that's what's going to happen in the near future with UFC, especially with the direction that they're taking with these with their fighter issues that they're starting to see.
That is true. Like you, big Izzy fan, so it'll be interesting to see. He might be in the same boat as a Max Holloway. It's like it's coming up to where, hey, is this going to be like the last fight, or maybe a couple more after this, or one more after this? Like, how much do you got left in the tank? Do you feel as though you're good enough to make one more run against whoever's going to be the middleweight champion, or do you think, things should be wrapping up around this time? Like you said earlier, it's always the fighters who know last when it's time to hang it up. So we'll see if people are in his ear talking about retirement soon, or whether he feels he's in the best shape ever, as most older athletes would always tell themselves. We'll see what happens with Izzy. Like you said, Joe Pyfer is no slouch. He is a dog. So we'll see what happens with that fight. Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley, the battle of 2 on the cusp contenders. Buckley had an opportunity against Kamaru Usman couldn't get the job completely done. Don't know what was going on with him in that fight, knowing that Kamaru is going to try to go after you. And especially, I think it was somebody on Twitter was like, "You gonna let a man with two bad knees keep taking you down?" Like, you know what's coming. But and then with Sean Brady, who we thought was rising up, but then got stopped against Leon Edwards. So both of them coming off of losses against guys who could have put them into title contendership. So we'll see what happens. Brady, we know, very explosive with the striking and with the grappling. Buckley, obviously very explosive with the striking, has one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history with his back leg getting caught, but then coming around and kicking the face off of Impa Kasanganay. That's just a historic knockout. But yeah, he's trying to work his way into title contention as well. So it'd be interesting to see that clash of styles. So we'll see. There's a lot of good MMA to keep your eyes out on, not just in the UFC, but in other promotions as well. And support your local promotions as well if you have any around you. It's just like, and again, I know there's some people on here that don't like when we talk wrestling, but I got to bring it up because there's a lot of parallels. Just like you should support your independent wrestling promotions as well. Support your independent MMA promotions, unless they out here spouting that "Make America Great Again." Then just pass them out. All right. Oh, don't get political though. Even though there's going to be a fight on the White House lawn, don't make it political. But I digress. I digress. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Brother Jay, always a pleasure having you on to join me, brother. Anything you want to let the people know as of this recording? I know it's going to be a busy weekend for you, my brother.
So, yes. Yeah. As we're recording this, this is not the only podcast I'm doing today. I'm actually going to be on Collision Course, post wrestling with our friend of the program, Kate from Montreal. So I'll be reviewing AEW Collision this evening, and then making my way down to LA over at the Crypto Arena to cover AEW's Revolution, the pay-per-view that's going on tomorrow as we're recording this. So I'll be in the press box, and then I'll be in the press conference as well too, representing Post Wrestling and the NWA podcast, which is on the Nefarious Media Network. So yeah, your boy's doing some things. We're making some moves over here, and really excited with everything that we got going on, and happy to go about doing it. So if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me on Instagram at Jarek_wins. And I do have a Blue Sky. I haven't checked in a long time. I forgot my login. So yeah, if you went over there and you saw it over there and I haven't accepted, I'm not being an elitist. I am being forgetful because I don't know what my password is. So I'm old school like that. But Instagram, I'm active on that one. So follow me, and as well as all the other programs I'm here on the Nefarious Media Network. I'm on the Parlay, Kings of Sport, and also Ring Theory with Ray, and also Gerard Brown, Downtown Brown, the three-man, the real House of Black, if you will, yes. Running the streets over there. So yeah, we got a lot going on. And Ray, it's a pleasure covering Chi-Chi. Shout out to you as well too. Love the graphs, love anything combat sports related. So that's where you'll find me.
Yes. Big things popping, little things stopping, as Brother Montel Vontavious Porter would once say. Yes, shout out to Brother Jay, doing big things for us, and we're proud of him going out there and representing Nefarious and representing Post, being on our behalf and representing us as he heads out to AEW Revolution. So shout out to you, Brother Jay, and I wish you all the best. And I know you're going to come back with a lot of good footage, my brother.
Yes, sir.
So, keep your eyes peeled for that, audience, as well. if you follow him on your socials, or if you follow us here on Nefarious Media socials, keeping your eyes peeled for that. As for myself, you can always find me here on SBF. You can also find me on the flagship, as well as all of our other podcasts here. We do have a aforementioned Ring Theory coming up. So if you're hearing this in time, and you could tune in for us on March 20th, March 20th on that Friday.
Yeah, 20th. Yeah. I'm getting my days mixed up. That Friday.
Yeah. So keep your eyes and ears peeled on that if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Again, one of the free ways that you can support us here at Nefarious Media Network. Another free way is supporting us through all of our social medias, through X/Twitter, or Twitter X, as Spawn Wave used to refer to it. I like that term, Twitter X. Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, wherever you have your social media fixes on. So with me specifically, you can find me on Instagram at MondoDondo1, and on Blue Sky. I barely remember my Blue Sky account at Two Way Ray. I'm still logged in somehow. So you can follow me personally there. So, but yes, again, please, if you can spare it, support us, because we are still on the drive for 500 subscribers at YouTube. Gets us halfway to monetization. 500 subscribers on Patreon does a lot to help us behind the scenes with equipment, with getting more people to support us work-wise, as far as production here. And it just overall helps the look and the feel of everything that goes on here at Nefarious. So your donations and your support is much appreciated. Please, if you can, consider subscribing to our Patreon and subscribing to all of our other social media platforms. So with that wraps up another installment here, March. Great, feeling good. Or how are you? I think that's how the song goes. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've been Two Way Ray with my boy
Jarek Lacey.
And we thank you again for joining us for another installment of the Styles Break Fights podcast. Hopefully, Godspeed till we see you next month. God bless you. God keep you. Good fight. Good night. Peace out. You should make that the thing. You just put in the fist. And then all right, I'm talking.